On the Reporting tab, you will find a report called the Monthly Scorecard. This report is a snapshot in time at the end of each month. The report is compiled of several metrics that will help the user gauge performance and drive continuous improvement. To run a monthly scorecard, click on the Monthly Scorecard option on the Reporting tab. When the report is generated, you will see a list of all metrics included in the report. The metrics are reported for each department alias that has been set up in the database, as well as the database overall. Please refer to the video on creating aliases in your database. Let's first define the metrics that are included in the monthly scorecard. The asset health metric is broken down by technology and by the plant overall. Each of the asset health metrics is split out into the raw numbers of assets that are defect-free, or green, under review, or yellow, or have a defect identified, which would be red, as well as the percentage of green, yellow, and red that those raw numbers represent. The other metrics in the scorecard are defined as follows. Mean time to implement fault entries. This metric represents the average of how many days that it takes to enter a repair comment against the fault entry. In other words, from the time that I enter a fault entry until the time that I enter a repair comment, how long does that take in days on average? Number of continued fault entries. This metric represents how many existing fault entries were continued in the database for the given month. In other words, how many times this month did we identify and write up an existing problem? Number of implemented or checked off fault entries. This metric represents how many fault entries had a repair comment entered against them for the given month. In other words, a repair has been made and communicated, and a quality check inspection is ready to be scheduled or has been scheduled. Number of new fault entries. This metric represents how many new fault entries were created in the database for the given month. In other words, how many new problems were identified and written up this month. Route adherence. This metric represents a percentage calculation of the number of locations in an assignment that were assessed as measured, red, yellow, or green, versus the number of locations that were assessed as not measured. Numbers for this metric represent assignments that were closed in the month. Clicking the plus sign next to the metric will expand the selection and reveal the data for the month. Each of the metrics we defined are broken out by technology and plant overall, as you see here. Numbers in the grid signify data for the month. A trend icon in the grid signifies there was no data in the category for the month. When your scorecard is generated, it will include the data from the last complete month. You can choose any previous month if you wish to run a historical report. Simply choose the month and year and click on the Get button. You can also specify the date range of the trend data you can run from the scorecard. This date range will be from the month and year you specify here up until the month and year you have selected for the current scorecard. Also, as with any of our reports, you can export the results to the various file types you see here. Now let's look at examples of how we can run trend data in the scorecard. First, you can click on any raw number or trend icon for any category and department in the data grid, and a trend for that value will be displayed. Both the data table and trend will be displayed. Remember, the date range of the trend is specified by you in the scorecard report options we discussed earlier in this video. You can also click on the View Trend link next to any category of a scorecard metric. When choosing to view the trend option, a data table for the metric and category you chose will be generated and will list all values for all departments. In this example, we chose to view the database overall for the mean time to implement fault entries metric. From the data table, you can click on a department header and a trend for that department will be displayed. If you want to compare departments, you can click on another department header and the trends for the departments will be overlaid. You can choose to overlay any or all departments in the table.